All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. How are you? I am late today. Could not get the technology to work the way that I want it. I'm trying out a new camera and yeah, it just took me a while. So my apologies. If you're live, say hi. Let me know you're here so I can say hi back to you. And I would also love to know how the video quality is showing up for you. If you're live, let me know. Thank you in advance. All right, and let me just set this up so that I can see your comments. We are talking all about strategy today, and I'm really excited to talk about strategy. I geek out about strategy. Not necessarily for strategy's sake, but I'm really big on helping you find the right strategy for you. It's one of the things that I help my clients with. It's one of the things that I think is just maybe one of the most important aspects of running a business is that your strategy actually makes sense. And I think for a lot of people, it's this aspect of running a business that is not their favorite. It certainly was not my favorite. God, I don't know, for at least the first year and a half or so of my business. And I've kind of grown to fall in love with it. And that makes me really happy because it used to bring me a lot of annoyance and resistance, and now it's part of what I help my clients with. If you had told me that 3-4 years ago, I would have laughed at you. It just goes to show that we all evolve through our lives and for sure through our businesses, in our businesses. Okay, so if you're live, say hi, let me know that you're here. I am going to get started. So a couple of quick announcements before I jump into the content today, and that is I am offering a free coaching session. If you would like to choose your own strategy, choose your own adventure, find a way to run your business more in a way that is on your damn terms, more in a way that lights you up, run your business and scale your business in a way that brings you more profit, but also brings you more joy. I'm really big on profit and fulfillment go together, and they can go together. And ideally they should drive one another. And I think so oftentimes, and this is a little bit jumping into content of today's live. But I think so often what business owners want to do is just like run quick to the money and like, hurry up, can you please just like pay my bills with this business? Or hurry up, can you please just, take my business to the next level? I'm ready for that next income goal. And while that's great, money is great, and there's nothing wrong with having goals, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make more money, no matter how much money you're making now. I actually want to say that again. Let's get out of this space of, being successful has to come with guilt. And this is a huge mindset piece that I see with a lot of people once they reach, a certain level of success in their business. There's a little bit of a like, but am I allowed to want more? But is it okay if I want to do more? But how do I explain to my family members and my friends who aren't running businesses that while I'm really glad about what I've created, I actually want to keep doing not just what I'm doing, but I want to keep growing. I want to keep doing more, and that I have these new goals that for some people, we might feel like we have to justify, or we might feel like we have to explain, or we might feel like, it's not okay because we're already in privilege and we're not allowed to have more. I don't know why I got on that tangent. Maybe somebody needed to hear that. But again, I think so often what we do when we're running businesses, when we're scaling businesses, when we're looking at, okay, this is the last month of the first quarter of this year, how are we tracking against our goals, and what are we going to do to continue doing that at a greater scale for the rest of the year? I think a lot of times we want to go to that quick fix. We want to go to that like instant gratification. We want to go to whatever action we think is going to make us feel better, safe, successful, happy, the quickest. And that is not always what is going to sustain your business in the long run. That is not always going to be a strategy that is you're gonna maybe not enjoy executing or implementing. And so what this free session is for and what today's live is about, I actually really did not put the two together. I'm so smart. What this is all about is about how to create a strategy, or in many, many, many cases, these conversations are not about what strategy do I build. Most people I'm talking to already have an established business, already have those nuts and bolts foundations in their business, and they already have a strategy. And it's about looking at your existing strategy and saying, does something need to be changed? Does something need to be, are there little tiny levers and pieces and places where we could make seemingly small adjustments that would bring you a huge impact? What's working, what's not, what changes can we make to really help your business not just grow and scale to the next level, but to do that in a way that really honors you, the business owner, your clients, your customers, and your business, then the way it's set up behind the scenes from a team perspective, et cetera, but also the way that what your business actually needs in terms of strategy. And that's not a one size fits all. And so if you're looking today for me to tell you exactly which strategy to pick, I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you that, because it really is an individual business decision. And so that's what these free calls are for. So hop on a free call. It's 45 minutes, one-on-one coaching. This is my zone of genius. This is my magic. I'm doing it for free for a little while. So take advantage of it. And I'm already, talking about today's topic, which is how do you scale your business in a way that fits you, your team, your business, your customers, your industry. So what is the one thing, just to get to the topic, and I'm just going to refresh this because I seem to have frozen on Facebook, but I don't think I'm actually frozen. Let me just double check. If you're live, say hi and let me know. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking and assume that I'm live. So the topic of today is, what is the one thing that you need in your strategy no matter what? And I really want to start by saying, I'm really, really, really big on choosing a strategy, as I just said, that makes the most sense for you, that there are no one size fits all, if you've been in my space for any period of time, any business strategy works. Okay, good. I am live. I see myself now. That any business strategy that you choose works. So you may as well choose one that makes sense for you. You may as well choose one that really fits you. And that's the answer to the question. What's the one thing you need in your strategy no matter what? If we assume that there are no one size fits all, what's the one thing that needs to be common to create or to adjust your strategy in a way that really brings you that next level success? And the answer is fit. It needs to fit. It needs to fit your business. It needs to fit yourself as a business owner and where you are in terms of your skill sets, your preferences, your strengths and your weaknesses. It needs to fit your team and your business model. It needs to fit your customer and your industry, as I just said. I also really like to use the term sometimes alignment. Your business goals, your business mission and vision really needs to drive everything, right? This is like business 101. That's the highest level of, sort of scenario around your business. What's your mission and vision? And then everything else needs to be aligned, needs to line up with, needs to derive from that mission and that vision. And then we have other things like you want to have your values, et cetera. But those are the things that must line up with one another. So if your business strategy, we're going to talk about a bunch of examples today. I've got actually a real serious list today. Your business, hi Courtney, good to see you. Your business strategy, which includes like, how are you going to get to that mission and vision? How are you going to achieve your goals? It also includes your marketing, but it doesn't, your strategy is bigger than just your marketing. And we are going to talk about marketing today, but I just want to be really clear that I'm talking really high level. Your strategy is pretty all encompassing. It's what's your strategy in terms of like, if I'm a coach, a lot of my strategy has to do with my offers. It also includes my marketing in terms of how I reach out to my customers, but it also includes my strategy for how do I set up my team, including myself, to get the work done? How do we accomplish the business goals? So it's really, the strategy is really like your detailed plan around how you get to that mission and vision, which again, it absolutely is a big piece of your strategy is marketing, but it's not all encompassing. Marketing is not the only element of your strategy. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss. They think like, great, I want to make some money, so I'm just going to go throw a bunch of shit on social media and that's going to work, right? Like it all needs to line up with your business goals, with where you're going, with your mission and your vision, and your strategy's got to line up in there as well. So we're going to talk about a lot of that today. Let me know if that's making sense. Hi, Tanisha. Oh my gosh, I love seeing you ladies. Welcome, welcome. So, and those of you who are live, if you have questions about your specific strategy, I am absolutely here to talk about that here on this live if you'd like to. So feel free to ask me a question specific to your business. So if we're talking about how to create, I feel like I'm yelling, if we're talking about how to create, or in most of your cases, how to adjust your strategy to bring you the biggest bang for your buck, financially and otherwise, it's got to fit. It's got to be aligned. It's got to be congruent. And I talk about alignment a lot in terms of like energetics. And I absolutely think you want your strategy to be energetically lined up with who you are as a business owner. But again, that's just one sort of way of looking at this. For me, alignment is full alignment, right? So if you think about, how do I want to, well, I'm trying to give you a different example. I'm just going to stay in the space of business. So if you are in alignment, if things in your business are congruent, if you have the right fit with your, pick your word, alignment, congruence, fit. If you have the right fit between you and your business and your strategy, it just makes it easier. It just makes it easier. And I personally think that when something is easier, it doesn't always mean that it's the fastest path to your goal, but if you have a proper fit between all of these elements of your business, it means that it's easier, like energetically to, and I mean like this in terms of like how much energy you have to expend to implement that strategy, because it makes sense for your business and it makes sense for your strengths, and it doesn't force you to go into a space. I don't mean don't step out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't force you to go into a space where your weaknesses are being forced to like thrive and be front and center. It means you're putting yourself in a place where you're utilizing your strengths within your strategy, right? So it's just easier. It's just easier for me to do stuff I'm good at. It's easier for me to do stuff I like. And I'm going to be executing strategy anyway. So I may as well choose something that actually makes sense for who I am as a person, as a soul, and then who my business is, what my business is, and who I serve, and the space in which I serve them, right? So if you don't have alignment, you know, I was going to say this last, I'm going to just actually say this first. So I find so often when we want to make more money, and this is not wrong, this is just, it seems like the easier way, but I personally just don't think it is. We, as I said a minute ago, we kind of want to run quickly to it as quickly as we can. Because what do we want to do? Like go back to marketing 101. Marketing 101. We want to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Right. And when we do that in our business, that's not 100% wrong, but we do have to pay attention to what we're doing. This is where the mindset piece of it comes in. So if you're ready to make more money, if you want to scale, I personally find, and this is what today's conversation is about, how to do this, and this is what my free sessions are about as well. I personally find, this is how I coach my clients, it's a lot easier and makes a lot more sense in the long run. I'm not saying it's quicker. It might be, to know thyself, to know thy business, to know thy team, to know thy customer and client, and to really get crystal clear on the thing, the strategy, the type of action, including your marketing, that really fits the best in your business. And then to just go do that. It's a lot easier to take that path. It's for sure more sustainable. That's one of my biggest soapboxes, is building a business that's sustainable. A lot of the work that I do is working with people who have established businesses and they don't feel sustainable. Maybe they're sustainable financially, but only if they keep taking action that wears them out, right? Maybe you've got the money coming in, but it's like, oh, I don't want to keep doing it like this. Right? So a lot of times what we do is we are unraveling what might be working financially, but what's not working for you or your team or whatever, right? So I think it's a lot easier to take that approach, know yourself and your business deeply, and then find the right fit, versus I think the fastest way that I can make money is to create an online course. I think that's going to be the thing that gets me what I want. And then I'm picking on online courses. There's nothing wrong with online courses, but I see a lot of people fitting that as an example into their business strategy that doesn't actually serve their clients or their business, and for sure doesn't serve their strengths. So, okay, I'm going to go generate an online course. Now I'm going to go spend all my time figuring out how to do that, because there's a lot of tech involved in that. And I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to create a course, and I'm going to record all these videos, and I'm going to create all this stuff. And then I'm going to promote it. And then I'm going to talk to people. And then I'm going to get what I want, because I'm going to be making money. And then I can actually do what I really want to do in my business, which is I want to coach people. Do you see how that's actually, like, in some ways, I think that's a lot slower way to get to, I just want to coach people. So I'm just going to, like, put myself out there and start coaching people and put my strategy around coaching. My point being, it's a lot easier to know yourself and your business and choose a strategy that fits that, go from there, versus starting with a strategy that somebody tells you is going to make you money and force fitting yourself, your team, your business, and your everything into that space. Just like dating, right? Instead of, like, finding a person that, I don't know, is happy or successful, and then force fitting yourself into their life or into their way of being because you think being with someone is going to make you happy. It's a lot easier to know yourself and to know what you want and need in a partner, and then to go out on a date and say, like, hey, here's who I am. Tell me who you are. Let's see if we're a good fit, right? Business and dating is so similar, and they both pull up a lot of mindset shit, don't they? So that's what today's about. It's about finding a fit in your strategy. And I'm going to talk to you about a lot of different things, but what I hope for you, part of my mission is to help business owners create and recreate pieces of their business, not pieces of their business, recreate businesses that are sustainable. And if a piece of your business doesn't feel sustainable, doesn't feel like you have the ability to keep doing it, then it's probably about a fit. It's probably not a fit. And that's okay. We can make changes. We can tweak. In many cases, it's just about doing a little less of something and doing a little more of something else. And that's the other thing I just want to share before I start talking examples and, like, kinds of things to be thinking about when you're running your strategy, when you're choosing your strategy or tweaking your strategy, is that, oh, I lost my train of thought. Sustainability. Oh, anything's going to work. This is what I was going to say, but anything's going to work. So you may as well pick something that makes sense for you. Oh, so simplicity. So often what we do strategically becomes very complicated. And so if that's part of your challenge right now, if you're feeling like you're having to do all the things, if you're feeling like you and your team are having to hustle to keep everything going, it may just mean that that alone is what is not sustainable for you. And so just maybe you got five, I'm going to make this up. Maybe you've got 5 different offers or 5 different product lines, and you just need to focus on, I don't know, 2 of them and let the others either drop off or fade to a second level priority so that everyone can keep going with what is your bread and butter? What is your magic? What are the things that are actually generating dollars? Okay, I'm getting into other pieces here. So I'm going to stop giving you my preface and I'm going to answer your questions and look at these comments. And then we're going to start talking about a little bit of mindset, and then we're going to start talking about some strategy examples so that you can start to think about how these elements fit into your business. Courtney says, Courtney is an amazing jewelry maker, by the way. Oh, and I'm wearing my stunning, can you see? I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm wearing my amazing turquoise ring that I bought myself for Christmas. Actually, I think I bought it for myself for Christmas and then my mom stole it and wrapped it for me. Bought it for me. Okay. Courtney says, I'm taking a stone setting class to kind of step up my design work. And I feel kind of stuck in my other work because there's so much going on emotionally. I'm just being honest, showing up when I can, but trying to navigate what this shift might look like for me and my business. Not sure if I know what I'm reaching for, just showing up. Thank you for showing up, Courtney, in your always authentic way. And that is, I think, honestly, part of your magic. And you don't have to have a specific question, need, want, desire, or thing that you're reaching for. Sometimes it's just a matter of stating something in presence, which is what you've just really, really beautifully put out in here. And that's why I love this community so much. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, I'm still reading. Courtney says, I'm just showing up by being here. I know why I'm stretching to do my stone setting class. These untraditional engagement rings have to come. Oh, girl, I feel that for you. I suppose then my strategy is to step up my work so that my jewelry work is sustainable because I'll be creating higher value and ticket pieces. Yes, I love that. And I think too, you're bleeding in a little bit. I'm gonna go in and out of your comments because what you're bringing up is the mindset piece that I wanted to share. When we feel like we're lacking confidence, and I feel, Courtney, like this is a little bit what you're talking about, that you're saying, and I'm gonna just speculate, so bear with me. But let's say, for example, that you're feeling like, I feel like what I'm reading in your comments, let me say it this way, is that you have these untraditional engagement rings that you really want to create. And that when you feel that you can, I'm going to use your words, step it up and learn new, or for you, elevated skills, and that you're able to then not only create what you really want, because I think this is an easier thing to articulate with artists. So thank you, Courtney. And I want to encourage everybody who's not a tangible artist to recognize the artistry. Ooh, I'm getting chills. To recognize the artistry in yourself when you're creating a business. We're all artists, and we like to give permission to artists to be creative and to play with things, but like we can't because like we're not artists and we're not creative, and I call bullshit on that. So I want to encourage you to really think about yourself as an artist as I'm talking about this piece of it for Courtney. So I think part of what you're saying then is this course will not only help you step it up, but that also helps you feel that everything is elevated, which then gives you the confidence to say, yes, I can step all the way in now to the energy of those higher prices that I want to create, that I want to offer or charge for these particular pieces. And while I think that a lot of people What I don't want to co-sign is that the only way you can charge higher prices is to go get some extra training. I think a lot of people fall into that trap and it just slows them down. And there is absolutely a time and a place for more training. I think continuing your education in your craft is absolutely important, and it's a hugely important part of your work. It's just about knowing when to do it, because it takes time, money, energy. It's about knowing when to do it. So I'm not picking on you, Courtney. I just want to share that as a little aside. But in this moment, Courtney, this sounds very aligned. This sounds very much of a fit for you. This sounds very much, what was the other word I was using? Congruent for you, because you're really wanting to step into that offer. And yet I'm suspecting that the opportunities to create engagement rings that aren't traditional, which I love, just personally love, your opportunity to create that feels better and more aligned for you when you can incorporate this additional technique, right? Does that make, am I getting that right? So for Courtney, part of your strategy is to add a training. Part of your strategy is to create a juicy, magical offer for these non-traditional engagement rings that has a price point that is sustainable for your business, that has a price point that really energetically vibes with the high level value and artistry and technique that is involved in creating these engagement rings. Right? Does that make sense? Do you see the strategic thought processes that Courtney's going through? And Courtney, it feels to me like you're absolutely aligned here. And then this enables you to stay in that creative space while also generating something new. Okay, I want to read your comments. Yes, 1000%. It feels like the ticket to building my little creative space to open my brick and mortar studio. Exactly. Exactly. Courtney says, I love this. July 19, 2021 training set, almost 19, 2021. Okay, got it. So it's in July. Awesome. Yes, yes, and yes. And Courtney, I will add then, if you're not doing your training till July, where can you keep your business growing till you get to that point? Like, my point is, don't let yourself fall into the mindset trap of, I have to wait to do this cool thing so that then I can charge more money and then I can own my value and then I can do what I really want to do. Right? Kind of back to that like silly online course example I made. Not that online courses are silly, but like there are things I can do now strategically to set my business up to succeed. And I don't have to wait. And this is for everyone. I don't have to wait to succeed. I don't have to wait to run my business the way I really want to. Yes, maybe there are plans in place and you might have an end goal. What are your other steps towards that goal? What are your other steps, and what other steps can you take now to help you get there? And one of those steps is also this training in July, but you don't have to wait. You get to just keep going. So Courtney, see where the rest of this conversation takes you, and let me know, or think about it in terms of some of these things that I'm going to talk through, because I've got a few examples I want to share. And I think what you've hit on is it's just really important. That's the hardest part. I know, right? Even when I order supplies, I feel like on pause, because until they show up, even if I could still be playing or wait to create call out, I called you out. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's my job. But also, like, not to call you out, to shame you, right? To call you out, to say, you also just get to keep going. You don't have to wait. And I think we tell ourselves we can have what we really want later. That's a really common mindset space that I see a lot of entrepreneurs in, and it's not wrong and it's not bad, and it's very natural and it's very normal. And it allows our brain to tell us like, see, you're unconfident. And so you can't do this thing. This is also like what self-sabotage does. You can't do this thing. And it's very rational, self-sabotage. You can't do this thing until you do this thing and this thing and this thing. And then you can have what you want. Right? So where are you telling yourself that? And where can you say, yes, I can have that thing that I want down the road. I can have that brick and mortar company. Your mission, well, a piece of your mission and vision is one of your top business goals, I would say, Courtney, is that you want to have a brick and mortar business. Great. There are stair steps to get you there. And you also get to enjoy running your business between now and then. You get to set other goals now and long-term goals like this one, and the long-term could be this year, love. Like it doesn't have to be short. It doesn't have to be forever. But I do find that when we are unconfident, when we are unsure of ourselves, and we choose a strategy that we think is going to get us dollars, if it's not a fit, it just adds to making it harder. It just adds to you having to spin your wheels. It adds to you being so far out of your comfort zone that you're in a space that does not honor your strengths. And then it really does, even though I'm saying every strategy works, then it really does work against you because you're not setting yourself up to succeed in the strategy that would be, frankly, the easiest and quickest for you, right? So something that might be the quickest strategy to your goal, but that doesn't fit and doesn't align and doesn't honor you and your business is not going to be sustainable. And so you may as well start now with something that actually makes sense. And again, and I love this piece, Courtney, that you're bringing in, because I think it's important to notice that you can have a strategy that accomplishes your business goals in the short and medium term. And then you can also have a strategy for the long term. Courtney, your strategy for the long term is to take this course and to start offering high ticket engagement rings. Maybe there's a baby step you can start offering medium ticket engagement rings. You are an established jewelry maker. Like you could make jewelry, you could make engagement rings right now. Maybe you decide that you're going to up your price once you get your training, for example, right? Where can you say, great, this is my strategy for the long term. I'm going to baby step these rings. I'm going to baby step this part of the creation. And then I'm going to take this class and then I'm going to take it up to the next level. Meanwhile, what else do you want to make? What else do you want to sell? What else can you be doing? Okay. Couple of examples, business examples of how to create a strategy. So if you've been paying attention to my lives lately, you will find that I've been dropping in a lot of stuff about Steve Jobs. I read his biography at the end of last year, and I wrote like 9 million notes on his life, his businesses, how he did things. There's so much to learn from him, both his successes and his failures. So I want to share one thing, and actually I made a little list here. So Apple and Microsoft, this is going back in the day, and a lot of this happened when I was not born and a little kid, and I kind of lived it, and I didn't, it was an interesting book to read, having been like a kid that was brought up in the 80s and 90s when Microsoft and Apple were really coming into the world, and to realize like sort of the products that we all became. So I highly recommend this book. It's just called Jobs, I think. Anyway, when we think about Apple, and I'm going to talk about Microsoft too, because I think this is a great example that I really want to like hone in around strategy. And I want you to be thinking about how this alignment feels and where can you apply this in your business. So Apple, their mission and their vision and their like the reason they are here on the planet. In fact, like Tim Cook literally said something like that a few years ago, like we are here on the planet to blah, 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 to create great products. To create great products. That's the whole, from the beginning until now, that is Apple's mission. They are here to create great products. And back in the day when they started, they were all about, and they still are, they were all about the personal computer. They were the first personal computer. I think I'm saying that right. And they were all about getting devices and, well, now devices, but getting machines and technology into the hands of regular people, everyday users. They're very big on user experience. They're very big on innovation. They're very big on creativity. That's their focus, right? So I'm mixing around like their mission, their vision, their values, their drivers, right? But Apple, okay? That is their focus. That's where they're going. We create great products. So let me just quickly, Microsoft also started generally around the same time, and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were always like sort of healthy, unhealthy competition. They also developed a real appreciation and a real appreciation, I think, for each other in towards the end of Steve's life. And that part is fascinating too to look up. But Microsoft, I actually looked at theirs up because I read the book for Apple and I have not read anything on Bill Gates, but their mission is to empower people and organizations to achieve more. Two technology companies, they actually offer different things. One is software, Microsoft is software, and Apple is products, okay? When Microsoft set out to create their strategy, they essentially, especially back in the day, they were much more focused on corporations. They created a software like MS-DOS kind of thing, their new operating system, and they sold that. They started by selling it to IBM to put into IBM's hardware, and then they became, really started out in corporate. Yes, nowadays, years and years and billions of years later, regular individual home computers also have Microsoft Windows on them, but that was not really their focus in the beginning. And so Microsoft's strategy was to work, because they were a software company, because they are a software company, their strategy was to work with other technology companies to build things together. They needed a hardware to go, you have to put software in a hardware, right? So that was their strategy. That's also why, okay. And then with Apple, their strategy was actually, and they got a lot of flack for this, not to work with anybody else, right? They wanted to create they created what they called a closed system. This is why a lot of people love Apple and a lot of people hate Apple, and it's all of the above. And both of these systems works, by the way. Both of these strategies obviously worked really well. Both of these are very massively successful companies. So Microsoft created an open system whereby their software was compatible with other technology and other hardware. Apple created a closed system, which meant that they created their own hardware and software. So the Apple computers, they created their own software and hardware. Yes, they did have some, it was like 99% their stuff, right? They did have to go to some other, they also went to some other companies and bought some other things. That's a little bit irrelevant. But the point was that they were in charge, and they were, to use like Steve Jobs, real driver, in control. But Steve Jobs was really effing smart, because his point around this was, the reason he chose a closed system was because their job was not to work with other companies. Their job, or their mission, was to create great products. How do you create great products if you don't have control, if you only have control over the hardware and you don't have control over the software, right? So part of their deal, that's why they have their own freaking like chargers nowadays and their own headsets. And like, yes, that can get annoying if you want things that are compatible, but the whole point of Apple is that you buy the suite, is that you get a better product, because we don't have to partner with those guys, right? And so all of that is to say, both of those systems work. Both of those systems worked in these cases, and both of those systems work to date as far as like business strategies for technology systems. What Microsoft and Apple did really, really well. And you'll hear people argue about these strategies around like what's better and one's better than the other, blah, blah, blah. Yes, there are disadvantages and advantages to any choice you make in life and business. But each business chose the right strategy for them because it lined up with where they were going. It built on their strengths. right? Apple is all about innovation. All about innovation. So for them to be able to just keep, and then the other thing that you have to look at strategically is Microsoft really like created a cool, like a great product in their software. And then they basically just stayed with that and kept going, right? They created other ways and then they have other products, but like Windows is their magic, right? Whereas Apple, they started creating like what, the Apple One and then the Apple II and then the computers and then the iMacs and then the iPads and iPods and all that, right? They were all about creating a whole bunch of shit. Like their goal, and actually Jobs had a quote about like his criticism of Gates was that they were really innovative and then they stopped innovation and just were focused on building a company. That's not wrong. That's just what they chose. Apple was focused on innovation. Great, cool. We built this one computer. Great. Now we built another one, right? And in some ways they got flack because their computers were competing with one another. But that was their driver. That was their mission. It still is their mission. And those strategies were absolutely the right strategies, still are the right strategies for each of those companies. And so for me, so now where can you see that happening in your business, right? Because also each one of those people had to deal with, and this gets back to the mindset piece, had to deal with the fact that they're sitting in an industry where everybody wants to tell them how to grow, what the best way to do it is, right? You're sitting in an industry, we are sitting in an industry. If you're running your business even remotely online, or there's all this information coming at you, you need to do an online course. You need to create a Facebook ad. You need to have, blah, blah type of SEO in your website. You better be doing this on Instagram. You better also add TikTok. You need to be on Clubhouse. You have to be right? Like all these different things and strategies that you need to do, particularly around your marketing. Or my personal favorite is you can't be a coach and be successful if you don't have a group program. That's bullshit. And so I think when you're in an industry where you're being bombarded with all of these options and people telling you which one is better, because probably they're selling that, and that's not wrong, but it's just about understanding what to do with all that information. Then it hits your mindset piece. Then it hits the piece around mindset. Then it hits your confidence level. Then it makes you think you're doing something wrong. And 9 times out of 10, what I see people do when I see people spinning and struggling in their business, it's because around strategy, it's because they've chosen something that may or may not be a good fit. They've chosen something to do strategically, and then they can't trust themselves all the way enough to stick to it. And you got to give your strategy more than 90 days, guys, to work. So if you're going, oh, I did it for a month and nobody called me, so I better just start over, then that's actually hurting you because you're not actually giving it a chance to see if it's going to work. And that's also why if you're going to spend all your time strategically reaching out and marketing and having a strategy for your business, you may as well enjoy that element of it. But when you put yourself in a position, let's say you're not a public speaker, and then don't go copy my business model and don't go do a weekly live every week in a Facebook group. You might not need a Facebook group, right? Maybe you have a different opportunity to use reels, for example, on Instagram to show, Courtney, you do some great reels on your Instagram to show how the jewelry is made. That makes sense. Like you may also want to do a Facebook Live, but I'm just saying, like, do you see how me choosing to do a Facebook Live strategically makes sense for my business? And it gives me an opportunity to kind of like coach you here in this space so that you can see what I do. You can get a chance to understand what it is that I offer, versus me trying to, I don't know, do something else, right? So this is all about strategy being a good fit. This is all about finding that piece of it for you. Okay, so Apple and let's see if there's anything else about Apple and Microsoft. My main point about those guys is both strategies worked. Both strategies worked and would have worked for any company, but the right strategy was chosen. And that's one of the reasons I think that both companies were so successful, because they were just able to keep capitalizing on their strengths and go, 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 because the strategy made sense for them. It wasn't, here's actually how I want to say that. The strategy made sense for the business in such a deeply aligned way that it wasn't a strategy just to make money. Do you see that? It's a strategy for getting your mission out into the world. And if you get your mission out into the world, the money will take care of itself. Okay. All right. Let me see what I wanted to say here, because I have all these examples and I'm running out of time. Okay. A couple of examples of oh my God, I have so many. Okay. A couple of examples of ways that you might tweak your strategy. So I'm just going to share a few things of some work that I did with my clients last year, just to give you some examples of like ways to think about this. Because what I don't want you to take away from this conversation is, okay, I have to go back to the drawing board and start over. 99% of the time, it's about making a tweak. So really sit with your strategies and think about what's working in terms of what's bringing you dollars, but also what's working in terms of what do you enjoy doing? What are you enjoying? Like if I didn't enjoy these Facebook Lives every week, God, that would be an energy drain. It's a lot of time to put into something that I just am doing because I think I have to, or I should, or I think it's going to help me get money. Yeah, Facebook Lives can help you get money, but don't do them just for that reason. Do them because they match your strategy. Do them because they match your personality. Do them because they match your strength. Do them because it gives you an opportunity to connect with your audience, right? I love it. And Tanisha says it is a lot of time. It is. And for me, it's an energy feed, not an energy drain. Like I get my creativity out. I get to share. I was listening to a podcast the other day about marketing, and she was saying, this is Kim Marget-Singer's podcast, One Question. She's absolutely amazing. Kim is my business coach. She's absolutely fantastic. She's a great podcast episode the other day about marketing. And she was saying, what do you want to shout from the rooftops? Like, this is the shit that I want to shout from the rooftops. And this is a space where I get to do it. So it's a feed for me. I love it. I'd like to figure out what I'm going to talk about and write a couple notes down. And I'd like to be here to connect with each of you in this community. Community is really, really big for me. And it's a big part of how I've built my business. And it's something that I'm good at. It's something that I enjoy. It's a space that I thrive in. If I was really better in a smaller environment, and I don't mean delivery wise, right? Because most of my clients are one-on-one, which most of my business is one-on-one focused, but if being with people didn't energize me, then this would not be the space for me, right? Maybe I would record these videos and put them out, right? There's a huge difference. That would be a tiny tweak. This is a great example of you can tweak your strategy like this. If you are a coach, but you don't want to do this like I do, maybe your opportunity is to say, I'm not going to force myself to do Facebook Lives. It doesn't use my strengths. You know what does use my strengths? I'm going to record a video and put it out there. Same result, slightly different strategy, utilizing your strengths, night and day. And then the energy that comes forward, because this is a space I enjoy, the energy that comes forward for that person that gets to put their own energy out into the world in a way that makes sense for them, then it resonates more deeply with your audience. Hello, that's how you make money. That's also how you just freaking enjoy your life. Okay, let's see. So ways that you can look at your strategy and make tiny tweaks. This is my suggestion. My suggestion is not that you go back to the drawing board unless you absolutely hate your strategy, in which case, please hop on a free call with me first before you do that. I would love, love, love to advise you around that. I have a free coaching offer right now, one session, 45 minutes. We can knock a whole lot of shit out. So here's a couple of other examples. Strategy is also how you set your team up to do the work. If you are a team of one, how do you get the work done? How do you time block your calendar? Is your time being spent on top priorities? Let's see, a couple things from examples from last year's coaching call, coaching clients. I had a client who had one company and was moving into creating a second company and was transitioning their time from company A to company B, one of the things that her strategy was for the year was to hire 2 high-level leaders to basically take her place in company A, because she had 2 different really strong skill sets, and that's part of what made her business work in company A. And so we brought in 2 different people to basically take her place, so that as she focused on company B, company A was also taken care of. So strategy can simply be that. How am I going to set my team up? What's my team strategy to get my business mission out into the world? Similarly, I had another client last year with a brick and mortar company, and she was on site almost every day, and she was working too many hours for her comfort level. And so what we did is we were hiring a number 2. We hired basically like a leadership type person, somebody who could manage the team when she was away and offsite, somebody who could really help alleviate the burden of some of those daily tasks so that she could step more into that space of being the business owner and not always also having to execute all of the tiny little things that had to be taken care of inside the shop. Lots and lots and lots of my clients last year hired their first team member. That was a big piece of what we worked on together. And the big strategy thing for them was who to hire first, right? If you've got all this stuff that you want people to do, and that's not an opportunity for most people to just go out and hire a bunch of people. You've got to let your team grow with your business financially and otherwise. And so the strategy decision was about who to hire for, what type of role to hire for first. Another way that you might look at your strategy is looking at all of the offers that you have. Offers, products, whatever it is. What are you offering? What are the different services or offers or products that you offer? And how do you feel about them? How are they doing financially? How much joy do they bring you? How much energy does it take to generate these things? Oh, here's a good example. I have a client last year who had kind of like a business and a half, and the half business was work that she absolutely enjoyed. And it was a nice add to create a little balance of like variety for her to be able to do 2 different things. However, the learning that she had last year was that this half business, while fulfilling, was also energy draining because it was a lot of effort to put into any one thing that she could sell. And so even though she enjoyed it, it became a time suck that pulled her away from her primary business. And how do I want to say this? And so we talked through what are the options of how to keep this in a different way, or does she want to pause this half piece and stay focused on her business? So we talked through that. Again, there is no wrong strategy here with that option presented. It's more just, what do you want to do and what makes the most sense for you as a business owner? Because even though this half business thing was generating money, when we looked at the time it took, and the balance of like, well, it starts to feed me and then it drains me because it's so much effort. When we looked at that and we looked at the cost benefit analysis of what money it was bringing in, it kind of got, so we weren't looking just at the money. It kind of got to a point where it was like, yeah, in order to get that into a different space, I need a full brand new strategy around that. And that actually didn't feel that all that exciting to her. And so she just pressed pause on it. That was just a decision, right? That's just about taking an offer and saying, I'm going to pause this offer. Like, but can you see how that could seem very complicated? But had we decided that, okay, this half business, we have to keep this income, we have to keep this income, we have to keep this income, what we realized was that income was actually much easier to replace with the original company, because all she had to do is like open up this much space. She got so many hours back on her calendar that it was a no-brainer to be able to dedicate back to that business, to be able to do the work in the primary business that generated money, right? So we oftentimes want to hold on to an income stream or hold on to a certain offer because it brings something in, but when you realize what it takes to execute it, it may or may not make sense. And again, you have to look at it from a financial standpoint, of course, but just because something doesn't bring money in now, if you love it and it's not an energy drain, it's an energy feed, then great. Let's double down on your attention to that thing and let's figure out a way to make that make money. You can make anything make money. Like you really can. So I hope you're hearing me around the fit. I hope you're understanding little bits and pieces of ways that you might be able to, I even hesitated bringing this topic to a live because I think it's really hard to talk generalizations around strategy because it is so focused. This is why my coaching business is one-on-one focused. This is why I'm offering free one-on-one sessions now. But I do think I decided that hopefully the examples and the pieces of the questions that I've asked you over the course of this conversation would give you a chance to go, okay, that one doesn't really apply to me, but yeah, I'm having a problem with something like this. So I'm hoping that these examples are helpful. Let me know. But what I want you to walk away from this, what I want you to walk away from, please walk away from this with some, I want you to feel empowered to own it. This is your business. You don't have to do it in a way that doesn't feel good to you. And I'm not saying don't get out of your comfort zone. A lot of times what's good for you and your business is getting out of your comfort zone, but it can still feel good. It can still feel right. It can still be and feel aligned. And that actually is the quickest way to sustainable growth. I think a lot of times when we pick a strategy, work it for a minute, can't sustain it. Even if it makes money, you can't sustain it. Okay. And then you come back down, right? Or you work something, it's not aligned. And then you keep working it and you wear yourself out and it brings you back down, right? Sustainably, when we choose a strategy, or again, it's oftentimes not about choosing a strategy, it's about tweaking our strategy towards what really fits us best. And this is also, I talked about this last week or the week before. This is also not to say that it's all about joy. It is a lot about joy. You do want to test things out. You do want to see what return you're getting financially and otherwise before you make a decision that it's working or not working. So you do want to collect data, absolutely. But when you're collecting data about dollars or engagement or whatever it is that you're tracking, also collect data around how you feel about doing this, implementing this thing, how this is bringing you joy. How does this line up with the work that you do? How does it all line up? How does it all fit? All of that is data to be, put into your brain so that when you think about your strategy, then you really can choose what makes the most sense in terms of a fit. Okay, I am going to sign off here in about 1 minute. But I want to just give those of you who are live an opportunity to say anything else if you're having any other questions or concerns. Tanisha, yeah, it is a lot of time to do Facebook Lives. Examples are very helpful. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Okay, I'm going to hang out for just another minute. As a reminder, I am offering free coaching sessions. I feel like I've been a broken record this week or today around that. But again, this also may help those of you who are like, yeah, I want to hop on a call with her, but like, what specifically are we going to talk about? That's okay. I can help you figure that out. But this maybe has given you an opportunity to go, this is the place where I need to tweak my strategy and I'm not quite sure where, and I'd like a little bit of support. The other thing I want to say just from an announcement perspective before I close is that we did a live coaching Q&A last week, and I talked about this in several different lives, but I think it's another example of a strategic shift that I've made in my business, where I stopped doing the intuitive readings last year that we had as a community event. And you can go back and watch my other lives to get the background on why. But strategically, let's take that example and look at it strategically. I was offering intuitive readings here in the group, as it was like the last Friday of the month, this live was an intuitive reading, and people would bring questions and I would channel intuitive guidance for them around their business. That was fun. It brought so many good things to me, to my clients, to everybody here in the group. It was great. One of my strategies in my first 2 years of business is I used to do a lot of networking. I had joined networking groups. I was always on the phone with other entrepreneurs. It was a really good way. I still have clients and I still have connections and I still get referrals from all of that. It was my primary strategy for the first year or two in my business. And now it's just a thing that I do occasionally. However, community is really, really important as one of my values. Community is a place where I do really well in terms of how I show up, how I serve. And so while I do focus primarily on one-on-one, community is a really important aspect for me. And so it started I sort of strategically chose networking to start because I knew that was a way that built on my strengths. And when I started this Facebook group, I thought about that strategically as well. Community really is a place where I thrive. I like to support other entrepreneurs, whether they're working with me or not. So running this community here is really, really fun for me. It also gives me an opportunity to get myself visible in front of a specific group of people so that I can create clients for myself. And so that strategically makes sense. And then when I did that community event, that just felt like another example. However, it was not quite there was a point at which it felt like it was no longer quite in alignment because I don't offer intuitive readings for business for my clients. And so it was just a little bit of a mismatch. It was a lot of freaking fun and I love it. And I am intuitive and I give my clients my intuitive hits when they come, but I am a coach and I help them walk through making their own decisions. And so again, me doing that community event was not all the way out of alignment, but it could have been more aligned because it was not representative of my coaching style. And so what I did last week is I'm going to experiment again this month. The end of this month, I'm going to do a live Q&A. So if you have a specific question about your business, bring it to the last Wednesday of the month in the live, and I will coach you here on Facebook Live around your particular business challenge, question, quandary, celebration, whatever it is. So can you see that is another example? That'll be my final example today of a little shift that you can make in your strategy to just keep things lined up. And this is what happens when we've been in business for a while, is that there are things that kind of more resonate with the old version of the business, and you just have to kind of catch it up. It's not wrong. And all the way also, like, you don't have to have everything be perfect and be up to date. I highly recommend not updating your website more than once a year because it's just not worth the time and energy that it takes. So all of these things are to say, there are tweaks that you can make in your strategy that can bring you back into, or I mean, want to say back into, because that last example, it was already aligned. It just was not, it was sort of starting to be aware of how, it was falling in percentage of alignment. The numbers were going lower. And so what I did is I just brought it back into alignment by saying, okay, I'm going to not do channeling, but I'm going to do what I actually do, which is coaching. So now I'm going to do coaching. So, and full disclosure, I'm playing around with it. I'm going to see how it feels. I'm going to see how it feels for you guys. I'm going to see what my energy drain is. And then I may or may not make another tweak, right? But I'm going to try it out for a couple months. So actually probably at least 3. So, one more announcement. The last Wednesday of the month will be a live Q&A. So bring your coaching questions, get some free coaching, hop on a free call with me, get your free coaching there too. And I will see you next week, same time for another live. Thank you for joining me. If you're on the replay, say hi too. Okay, take care.